lot of stuff to get to. Everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time. Costs you absolutely nothing. And of course, much love to all of you who support this show on Patreon. Couldn't do it without you guys. And thank you for those of you who tip on YouTube. Same thing. Couldn't do it without you. You know, we're real independent media, not fake independent media. You've never seen me do an ad read, and you never will. You guys fund this through small dollar donations, and we have the default ads on YouTube. Very proud of that model that we built. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. So, as you all know, as I've described to you about 40 times now, Elon Musk has illegally hacked the Treasury, and he's been attempting to, or just outright, deleting agencies and programs that he doesn't like, where he claims they're fraud in this thing, and there's waste and abuse, and we got to stop it. Literally across the board, every time he said those things, he's just making stuff up. Let's just be clear about that, right? That's number one. Number two, even if it was true, he doesn't have the ability to do what he's doing. The way it works is Congress has the power of the purse, the House passes something, the Senate passes something, the president signs it, that's it. There is no like, hey, some rando at the Treasury Department can decide, I'm against this, and block it. That would give some bureaucrat the ability to usurp the power of Congress and the president. It's crazy. And he's not even in in a real government agency. But again, even if he was, it would still be, this is wildly not allowed, right? Guess what? As I told you this was going to happen. Any court in America, left, right, or center, any court, is even freaking Elon Cannon, the biggest MAGA hack judge on the planet, they would look at this and they would say, you definitely can't do this. Like, no, can't have it, right? So guess what? Here we go. Judge Nichols has issued his written order formalizing his decision to block the Trump administration from putting 2,200 U.S. aid workers on leave tonight. He also orders the reinstatement of 500 workers previously put on leave. Nichols has also blocked the expedited repatriation of 1,400 Foreign Service officers ordered as part of the dismantling of U.S. aid. Nichols said, quote, administrative leave in Syria is not the same as administrative leave in Bethesda. Nichols emphasized that when he asked Trump administration lawyers to explain why it had to quickly put 2,200 workers on paid leave, they had no answer. Quote, beyond asserting, without any record support, that USAID writ large was possibly engaging in corruption and fraud. Guys, they are using Twitter arguments in a courtroom. They're using Twitter arguments. There's corruption and fraud. Okay, well, as I pointed out, even if that were true, which it's not, they lie about it relentlessly, but even if it were true, you don't have the authority to go on the back and, I don't like this, I'm going to delete this. That's not how it works. That's not how this country works. Nichols stopped short of doing one thing the employees wanted, reopening the funding spigot. He said the supposed harms caused to workers by the freeze on spending programs was too hypothetical to justify emergency relief. So, in other words, this decision goes 80% of the way to where it should go, but it does fall about 20% short. And then we also get this update from Sam Stein. The administration is complying with the U.S. aid court order, in case that was in doubt. They got this email from a source, and then the email basically says, like, because of the decision of the court, a lot of the things we said are not going into place. There's also mass chaos at these places, and if you work there, you're probably feeling like, well, I don't want to fucking deal with this. I don't want to deal with this roller coaster. I don't want to hear, you don't have a job, you have a job. Your funding's getting cut. It's not getting cut. Your salary's going down. It's not going to, like, you're putting these people under a lot of stress, right? And so I wouldn't be surprised if some of them want to leave the field anyway, based off just how much Trump and Musk are fucking with it. But this is one example. This is one example of exactly what I said would happen, did happen. That, like, any judge in America would say, what the fuck are you, like, what is this? So apparently this judge was a Trump judge. As I said, left, right, center, doesn't matter. They're all going to say the same thing. When something is this clearly illegal, it's not close. All right, so that was one court decision. Guess what? We have another one. A federal court in the Southern District of New York has directly ordered the president and Secretary of Treasury to immediately restrain from granting access to Treasury systems to these rando fucks picked by Elon, and ordered them to direct the randos to delete any copies of materials they've made. So as you all know, they put in a private server and were jacking all of the information from the Treasury. $6 trillion in spending, everybody's social security number, everybody's bank account. They put a private server in and jack the information. And this guy's saying, whoa. No, you need to immediately ban these people from accessing the Treasury, and whatever data you got, you have to delete it. You have to delete it. Okay, so look, so far, so good. Everything that's happening is exactly what I said would happen in this scenario. Now, here's where it takes a dark turn. You ready? This was before the election. This was J.D. Vance before the election. I think this was even before he was picked as VP. But understand something, guys. His intellectual and philosophical and policy daddy is a guy by the name of Curtis Yarvin, who's basically a far-right intellectual who has all these crazy ideas about how the government should run. And one aspect of that is the unitary executive theory being back in place. Namely, hey, let's just have a CEO dictator. We don't really believe in democracy anymore. In fact, this guy's openly anti-democracy. Again, this is who J.D. Vance idolizes and looks up to and agrees with. So here's what he said before the election about what should happen in a scenario like this, where the executive decides to do something or Elon Musk decides to do something, and then the courts say, sorry, you can't do that. That's clearly illegal. Listen.
We should just seize the administrative state for our own purposes. Fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state, replace them with our people. And then when the courts stop you, stand before the country like Andrew Jackson did and say the Chief Justice has made his ruling, now let him enforce it. A lot of conservatives have said we should deconstruct the administrative state. We should basically eliminate the administrative state. And I'm sympathetic to that project, but another option is that we should just seize the administrative state for our own purposes. We should fire all of the people. I mean, I think Trump is going to run again in 2024. I think he'll probably win again in 2024. I think that what Trump should do, like if I was giving him one piece of advice, fire every single mid-level bureaucrat, every civil servant in the administrative state, replace them with our people. And when the courts, because you will get taken to court, and then when the courts stop you, stand before the country like Andrew Jackson did and say the Chief Justice has made his ruling, now let him enforce it.
So this guy, Curtis Yarvin, believes in an acronym called RAGE. It stands for Retire All Government Employees. And as you hear, he says, look, if the courts disagree with you, just be like, bitch, you have no enforcement mechanism. We're just not going to listen. We're just not going to listen. Okay, ready? J.D. Vance comes out after this decision. This multiple decisions, I should say, where they're like, guys, this is insanely illegal. Cut it out, right? He says, if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general in how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. Well, JD, who determines what is and isn't legitimate power? That's what's at question here, right? Basically what he's doing is he's saying Marbury versus Madison and judicial review, throw it out. Throw it out. They have zero input. If the executive decides something, it's final. No checks and balances when it comes to the executive. Now, look, is there a situation where you can imagine it logically makes sense where the president is actually on the side of the law and the court is not? Yeah, we've seen that a number of times where there was this version of judicial supremacy that took over where they strike down legitimate rulings from the president or from Congress, right? But this is not that. Nothing has ever been more clear vis-a-vis the law, vis-a-vis the Constitution, vis-a-vis the way everything is supposed to function. This is not an example of judicial overreach. This is an example of judicial accurateness, judicial correctness. All right, but we're not done. So that was J.D. Vance. He said that. Here's another one right here, y'all. Mike Lee, the senator, comes out and says, this has the feel of a coup, not a military coup, but a judicial one. So he looks at Elon Musk illegally hacking around in all government agencies, having access when he shouldn't, and he goes, right on, we love that. But a judge goes, hey man, this isn't legal, this isn't constitutional. He says, this is a coup. Elon Musk replies to that tweet and says, yes. So now you have the vice president of the United States saying, defy the courts. You have Elon Musk saying, yeah, this is a coup. We should probably defy it. Oh boy. Oh boy. It's getting dark. It's getting dark real quick. Now, the right is saying, well, hold on now. There were times that Joe Biden tried to defy the courts. And the example that they use is student loan debt reduction. So here's why they're 100% wrong on that. Joe Biden tried one avenue, and the Supreme Court said, well, that's not legal. So he completely stopped that legal avenue with that legal justification. And he said, well, there's other ways we can justify legally doing student loan debt reduction. So we tried a different avenue to get it done. And when it was